In tonight's video, we talk about adrenal fatigue. What's going on, guys? This is Paul from ProPhysique.com, and if it's a little bit echoey, well, it's because I'm doing a video at night, which I don't typically do, and I got all the garage doors closed, so yeah, hopefully the mic kind of gets rid of some of the echo in here, but I've got a really cool topic tonight. As you know, you click the video. Before we get too into the video, I wanted to mention a couple things. A couple people ask me about this shirt when I wear it. It says #gains. It is a Core Nutritional shirt. If you're interested in the shirt, you can go to corenutritionals.com and purchase it. And if you're interested in any Core Nutritionals supplements, which you should be because they're the best, you can use my discount code PaulR20 to get the discount. I've also placed a timestamp below for when the video about adrenal fatigue is going to start. So if you're not interested in anything that's going on in my personal life, well, I'm going to talk about that for the next couple minutes before we get into the topic. And there's a reason why. For those that don't know, this is my home gym, and it's rather empty right now. The floor is gone, the equipment's gone. Why is that? Well, you're about to see some footage of what we did today. I have some very awesome friends. I want to give a very special, heartfelt thank you to my friends for coming over today. We had Steven, Bo Grant, we had Colin DeWay, we had Keith Crocker. It's Crocker, I got it right. And we had Jason Parisi and myself. So the five of us got a truck, got all this equipment, got it to the new house. And the new house, the gym isn't built yet, but it will be soon enough. So here's some quick footage of that just for some fun. And you get to see a little bit about what our day was like. So that's how the day was, really great. Now let's get into, you know what's weird about this place? Now that it's like empty, it just feels like there's so much room for activities. All right, guys, so let's get to the topic at hand and let's talk about what exactly is adrenal fatigue? Why do we hear about it? Why does it get discussed? And why do I care about it as a coach? How does it impact me and my clients and friends and whatever? So let's first explain what adrenal fatigue is. The theory of adrenal fatigue is basically that the adrenal glands get fatigued due to being chronically stressed, meaning constantly stressed. So the difference between an acute response to something and a chronic response. Acute means it happens for a short duration. Chronic means it happens for an extended duration. So basically, the idea behind adrenal fatigue is that the stresses in our lives get so overwhelming that the adrenal glands cannot keep up with the demands, and we therefore get adrenal fatigue. And this is why we have things like low energy, added body fat, muscle loss. There are a lot of reasons that people feel they have adrenal fatigue. And why I find this interesting is because when I looked up adrenal fatigue, because of this PubMed article that was posted by Lee Norton, it really got me interested in just exactly how much is fact and how much is fiction. And the thing about fitness and health is there are so many slang terms and words that we just kind of accept as fact because you hear them over and over and over. And I think adrenal fatigue might fit into that category. Now, I'll never say without a shadow of a doubt that there is no such thing as adrenal fatigue, or there absolutely is adrenal fatigue. What I'm going to talk about is basically my theory on the topic. So a doctor who studies something that has to do with the adrenal gland would be called an endocrinologist. Endocrinologists have PhDs and MDs. They spend a lot of time in school. There's actually something called the Endocrinology Society. They've been around for 100 years. I checked them out. They're legit. They have conferences. They study these, and they do not accept that the term adrenal fatigue exists. That's right. Endocrinologists do not use that term, right? Does that mean that something doesn't exist because a group of doctors, PhDs, MDs who specialize don't accept it? That's not necessarily the case, and that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is we have to look at where the term came from. So when I started digging into where the term adrenal fatigue came from, and I started looking up search results on how to fix adrenal fatigue, what I commonly found was people who are doctors but are not endocrinologists, right? So they have a PhD in another field. In particular, the one that I most commonly found was chiropractor. Chiropractors who also happen to specialize in nutrition and health and well-being, right? So they're kind of well-rounded chiropractors talking about the effects of adrenal fatigue and how to fix it. They're selling something, okay? The other doctors that you hear most talk about adrenal fatigue are naturopathic doctors. Because when you can't explain something, you can't fix something for someone, you have to have an explanation for what's causing it. And I'll get to why that bothers me. So I don't have a problem with naturopathic doctors as a whole, but I've read a lot of bad stories. I've actually read some articles written by former naturopathic doctors that have come out and said basically their practice is a hoax. Does that mean that is the case? That is not what I'm saying. Maybe they were scorned and they wanted to write a bad article. But the point is, I'm not sold on naturopathic doctors. I've never been to one. I doubt I'll ever go to one. If I'm going to go to a doctor, it's going to be somebody with an MD, a PhD in medicine, right? I believe in the scientific approach to medicine. And so that's just for me personally. If you want to go to a naturopathic doctor and someone has helped you, that's great. I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't. Don't want to get too far off on a rant here, but the most common occurrence of the term adrenal fatigue, fixing adrenal fatigue, restoring adrenals, if you go do a search right now on Google, I found mostly chiropractors, naturopathic doctors. Again, there are no people in the Endocrinology Society that actually use this term, okay? So, and if there is, I apologize, but I was on the Endocrinology Society's website looking for it. And the article that I'm linking below, you can read the article, it's free to read it. It's through PubMed, and basically they did a research review, it came out last year, and they did a research review of lots and lots of articles looking to explain what adrenal fatigue is, and basically their synopsis was, it can't be defined and it doesn't exist. Adrenal fatigue is not an actual condition. I don't want to get too far in depth as to why that is, but the great thing about this article that's on PubMed, if you click it right there, you can go scroll down to the resources and you can actually go onto the websites and you can actually start to dig in to what's really going on and where these terms come from. But I'll address like a high level, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts on what I do when I hear this term. All right, guys, so what is all the fuss about when it comes to the adrenal glands? The adrenal glands are a small gland located right above the kidney, and they are important because they are valuable in helping to regulate some very important things like blood pressure, as well as blood sugar levels. So you can see how if there was a problem with the adrenal gland, that it would need to be taken care of. Now, while the term adrenal fatigue is not recognized, the term adrenal gland insufficiency is. The only way to diagnose that is through a blood test called ACTH. Now, I'm not going to get too far into details, but the reason I have a problem with, let's say, a chiropractor or a naturopathic doctor diagnosing someone with adrenal fatigue is the fact that they don't do a blood test, right? That's the job of an endocrinologist, All right, so, and the reason that an endocrinologist would do this test is because feedback that they would get from the patient. They would say, okay, what's going on? And there would be some lifestyle things, and they would discuss certain topics, and they would get to a point where we need to test for this, right? We need to test for a couple things, and the ACTH test would be administered, and if it came back that there was an issue, then there would be a diagnosis. But I fear for the other practices, they're using the term adrenal fatigue as kind of a catch-all to explain things. And then they can say, well, you have adrenal fatigue. Here are these accepted best practices and how to fix it. And the problem I have is that they will say, okay, you need to reduce stress. So, and I've gotten this email several times, my doctor said I need to reduce stress, so I'm going to stop training. I'm going to stop doing any type of exercise because that is a stressful activity. And yes, it is. Training is very stressful. If you look at the things that are going on in your body when you're pumping iron, when you're sprinting, when you're running, when you're doing exercise, it would seem blood pressure is really high. There's all these hormones that are going crazy. Those changes, though, remember what we talked about earlier, are not chronic changes. Those are very acute changes. So the stress that you're causing yourself, acute stress, can cause positive changes in the long term. So where I have an issue is actually the fact that they're taking someone who is chronically fatigued, has poor body composition, and they're telling them, stop working out, stop exercising, you need to just sit still and sleep because there's low stress there. See, I disagree. I think you need to look at the bigger picture, because when you're talking about adrenal fatigue, okay, we're probably talking about people that have chronic stress in their lives going on all the time. One of the diagnoses was actually sleep apnea. So you can imagine if someone with sleep apnea is not getting enough sleep. You know, I know if I don't get my sleep after 3 or 4 days, I'm a different person. I get like kind of in a depressive state. I don't want to train. I don't want to do anything. I just feel run down. And then I'll get that 8 or 9 hours of sleep and I'll feel like a new person the next day. So I don't want to get too far off on a tangent here, but I feel like the fact that this article came out on PubMed, Lane pointed it out, it just seemed like a great topic for a video to me, because I get this question all the time. If I have adrenal fatigue, what do I do? And I went and saw my doctor, and I say, well, what kind of doctor did you see? And never have I ever heard back from a client, oh, I went to my MD, I went to my endocrinologist. No, it's always a homeopathic doctor or a chiropractor, which I don't have any issue with those practices. But I do have an issue if they're giving false diagnoses and causing more problems for a person. So that's it, guys. That's it. Does adrenal fatigue exist? You have your opinion, I have mine. I do not believe it exists. I believe instead of causing more problems by telling someone to stop working out, when I have someone that tells me that they have these symptoms going on, we have to look at the last 6 months, the last year, the last 5 years of their lives. Have they been chronically overtraining, overstressed, undersleeping? You know, we can start to look at the lifestyle that is causing the symptoms that would have someone believe that they have adrenal fatigue, or have someone get diagnosed through one of these channels as someone with adrenal fatigue. And if you do a shot every time I say adrenal fatigue, you are drunk by now. But I digress. So yes, ultimately it's our lifestyle that's going to have the largest impact on these changes, unless you find out that you actually have adrenal insufficiency. Then there's treatment for that. I'm not going to go into that here because this video is about, I won't say it again, you're already drunk. All right, guys, that's it. Paul from ProPhysique.com. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you have more interest in the topic, please click the link below, go to the PubMed article, read through it, and then click on the resources and the reference in the article. You can dig as far down the rabbit hole as you want to go. All right, guys, anyway, that's it from my old home gym, which is now empty and very echoey. But in 1 week's time, we move to the new house, and I don't know where I'll be doing videos when we get there, but I will get them done. All right, you guys have an awesome night.